Alrighty folks, our charger is powered up. Just got it started up today, and it's currently pushing some power into that cooker heating element over there. It's a 2.5 kilowatt 240 volt element, and if we can see the display here, we're currently putting in about 6 amps at about 166 volts. That's a little bit out of cal because I don't have a battery on it. It's actually about 170 volts DC at 6 amps, running at about 12 kilohertz and 60.6% PWM. Now I've got the timer set to turn off after 10 minutes, so pretty soon we should see that charger shut itself down. Now before it does, a little scope shot here. Hope this turns out okay. This is across the high side IGBT. As I hope you can see, we're going to 12 kilohertz signal. It's quite clean, but I can't figure out what all of this kind of jumble is here. I'll try to filter it out. If anybody can think of what's causing all that kind of stuff there on the scope screen. I'll turn up the intensity a little bit, hope you'll be able to see it a bit better. See all that kind of noise in there. I'm guessing it's something been kicked back up from the inductors. The fans are blowing on our radiator here, 220mm fans, and coolant is being pumped through our coolant system. Our heatsink temperature currently at 21 degrees. There's 10 minutes, so it'll be interesting to see if it turns off. I haven't done a timed shutdown on this as yet. This is the current. Not that accurate. That old current clamp I have there is as old as the hills. So it is about somewhere between 6 and 7 amps DC, and AC input current 5.8 amps at 240 volts. So these are our bus capacitor there, DC bus capacitor and output filter capacitor, and everything else is as we've shown before, cold plate and the inductors. Now our heating element is actually putting out quite a bit of heat. I think that's actually heating up the side of the box here, which is causing the heatsink temperature to increase at 21 degrees now. Our scope is quite happy, so she's not turning off for me, which isn't making me happy. We should have had a timeout there at 10 minutes, so I'll give it another minute or two. We'll have to shut down. But the radiator here is absolutely stone cold. There's no heating in the coolant pipes. Even this pipe here brings the coolant from the heatsink into the radiator, and that's absolutely stone cold. Little pump is pumping away happily there, no problems to it. And I still have to get a cap for this coolant bottle here. I'm having a bit of fun trying to find a pressure cap that'll fit that. So right, that's first tests of the new charger. It's behaving itself. Didn't have too many problems getting it started up. So I'm going to change the scope now so that it's sitting across the inductor, and we're on the diff probe there, because otherwise we'd have a bit of an explosion because the scope chassis is grounded. We'd probably exceed the scope's DC input also, so that's an essential piece of kit to have. Yeah, so far so good. Let's shut down. We'll change the scope over to the inductor, and I'll go through the little programming sequence just on the display there, and we'll crack on. Alright, so we're powered back up again. We've got the scope across the inductor. I'll just try and go ahead and go through the little setup sequence on the display here. So the first thing it asks you for is what cell type that you have. So in this case, LiFePO4, and press the green button. And it confirms that. It's going to ask me then how many cells. It's got a default of 60 cells, but you can change that in the Arduino code. So we need to hold down the green button then. We're not going to change that, so it's just going to go across all 3 digits. Then it'll go all across the digits again. I'm holding the green button, and it confirms that we have 60 cells. And it's now going to ask me for capacity, and again we're just powering a heating element, so to be too concerned about that, so I'm just going to hold the green button down again, and it defaults to 100 amp hours. And again, all these things can be changed just by the 2 push buttons here. There we go. Okay, so I've skipped the battery calibration. It's just confirming that we have 60 cells, LiFePO4, 100 amp hours. So I'm going to again press the green button and confirm that, yes. And it's now going to default to 7.5 amps input, and it's going to give me a countdown, and it's going to fire up. And hopefully not explode, because that would be bad. So, no timeout. It's going to confirm all that. It gives me some stuff there that I don't quite understand, but it's going to do something now pretty cool. Here we go. And the power is on. We have 6 amps at 162 volts, 60% PWM, and 10 kilohertz. I've noticed it changes the PWM from 10 to 12 kilohertz. I'm not sure what's going on there, but I'm sure it's got some meaning. So let's see what the scope is going to do for us today then. Looks like we got some kind of mad stuff going on here. Alright, let's... ooh, okay. Okay. This looks like my... yeah, I've got this craziness going on here again. Let's see if we can get rid of some of this. Trigger menu. HF reject is on. I'm trying noise reject. HF reject. Noise reject. HF reject seems to be the best one. I'm probably just doing something silly here. Okay, falling rising edge trigger. And we're still on 10 kilohertz there. So it's a nice square. Clear off all that. Ooh, what's it done on me now? It's throwing the... what was that? Still 10 kilohertz. With a scope having a bad hair day. Okay, so let's do cursor 1/delta T. I'm going to adjust these up just to do a frequency check. Yes, hello scope, you can do it. Toggle, that's the one I want. Oh no, it's changed frequency again on me. Now it's gone to 12 kilohertz. Damn, just when I was getting that one sorted. Okay. Toggle. It looks like about 12 kilohertz to me. It's close enough for government work. Our heating element is getting hot. So, okay. Yeah, I'm not sure where that noise is coming from. It could be just getting picked up by the scope probes or something like that. I'm not sure what it is. So if anyone has any theories, answers on a postcard, because I can't seem to get shut of it. That's our inductor voltage waveform. Let's see if we can figure out what it is in terms of voltage here for a sec. Delta voltage. Let's go up here. There we go. It looks like about 10.5 volts, so if we call it 10 volts for simplification, and we're on the 120 on the diff probes, that's about 200 volts swing on the inductor. It's not having a problem doing that. I'm getting plenty of heat out of that heater. I can even feel it over here. Everything else, as I say there, everything else is stone cold here, the pipe work, everything. So I'm going to need to draw more current from this thing, I think. Not much else to be said. It's just perfectly functioning on the heater so far. Obviously we need to hook it up to the old traction pack and see what it does there. I've just got it on a 13 amp supply at the minute, but we do have the capacity to go big, which we will certainly do. All of the power cabling in here has been done with combination of 6 and 10 square cables, so it should be good for 30 to 40 amps AC input. This is the non-PFC version of the charger. That'll be the next phase. I just physically couldn't fit it into this enclosure, but from what I'm seeing today here now, I'm very impressed with it. So let's see what's going on here now. And the heat haze of that element. 164 volts at 6 amps. Heat sink is, you can't see it too well on the camera probably, but it's saying 22 degrees centigrade. Ambient temperature today is probably around 14-15 centigrade. And our heater is certainly a lot more than 14-15 centigrade. I'm going to take the power up. I'm going to tell it it's got 70 cells, and we'll take the power up a bit and see if we can get that thing to glow. Well, the old heating element is definitely starting to kick out the heat now. Made a few changes. Let's see, we're now up to some higher power, higher PWM. Still can't get shut of this crap from the scope, but we are across the inductor. Sorry. So there we go. Don't know what that noise is. Some kind of harmonic content or some such, I don't know. Current seems quite stable. Heating element is heating. Input is now about just over 7 amps at 240 volts. I told the display there to go for a 10 amp input current. Again, there's no sign of any heating here. We're maybe up to, let's see this thing, up to about 23 degrees on the heatsink, but there's a lot of heat been kicked over here from the heater. It's really starting to heat up this side of the box, which is where the temperature sensor is, so I'm guessing that's where the little bit of a temperature increase is coming from. But I'm going to run that now at that power for maybe 10 minutes or 15 or so, see what happens. Hopefully nothing does a meltdown on me like my cables there, unfortunately. Yeah, so that's about it. Everything else seems to be holding up just fine. And the radiator core is stone cold. Tubes here bringing coolant. This tube brings the coolant down from the heatsink into the bottom of the radiator, and that's absolutely stone cold. So I'll let it go for a bit and we'll come back and see what happens. Okay, we're back again with more power. Had to install a kind of a jet blast deflector here to keep the heat off the box, and every sound this thing makes has me jumping, and our heating element is definitely starting to glow. According to our display here, we're at 77% PWM approximately, 9 amps, 212 volts, heatsink 23 degrees centigrade, and oh dear, that element is really starting to glow. Okay, so mains input current for my grossly inadequate cable is a whopping 10 amps at 240 volts. I think that cable is probably going to start to get warm, but I guess we gotta, oh dear, okay, right, anyway, again, everything here is running cool. Got cool cables here, or sorry, hoses. The frequency has changed to 12 kilohertz again. That's interesting. Must be some kind of a, maybe it ramps the frequency down if the heatsink temperature is high or something. I don't know what the story is there. Bus capacitors are okay, no signs of heating in those babies. Nothing like just sticking your finger into a high voltage system. Oh yeah, we're getting some glow action there now. I think my jet blast deflector is successful though. Yeah, it is. We're not getting any heat being thrown back at me like that. So I guess it's like watching paint dry, except the paint can blow up in your face at any given point. Almost 82% PWM now. What's our current telling us? In or about 10 amp mark. I told it that it had a 15 amp main supply, so it just jumped out of the CC phase and jumped into the CV phase almost immediately. I guess I had enough power to be able to blow through the constant current phase. So that's always good. Heatsink is 23 degrees still. Coolant is cooling. Fans are fanning, and our radiator is cold. Again, this is the holes here. If we start to see any sign of heating, it's going to be here. And the only heating so far is coming from that that baby. think if I get another couple of these, I could make a pretty good load bank. That is, if it doesn't blow up. Okay, so I'll keep the power on. Come back in 10 minutes and see if we're still here.